I'm going to show you how to use Google Sketchup to draw your designs in for your cutting board folio. So once we open Google Sketchup, you'll see that this window comes up with some tutorials, but the important thing to look at is that the design is in millimeters. So mine's already set, but I'll show you how to change it. Down in templates, you'll get a number of different ones, so you can just scroll through and find the one in millimeters. Architectural millimeters is the correct one to use. Once you start the program, you'll see that a toolbox comes up with lots of different tools in it. If it doesn't show up, if you go to View, Tool Palettes, and select the large tool set, and that'll give you what you need. There's things in here like select tools, rectangle tools, circle tools, erasers, and a number of different things. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this character here in the middle. So I've clicked on the select tool. If I click on the character, I can then either cut or delete the character. Now I'm going to start drawing out the pieces of timber that I need to build my or design my cutting board. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool and going to start drawing out a rectangle. Now you'll need to ask your teacher about the sizes of some of the pieces of timber, but I know that there is timber at 40 millimeters wide, 20 millimeters wide, and there's some variety of different other sizes that can be seen. So I'm going to start with one, and I know my cutting board needs to be 450 millimeters long, so I'm going to type in 450. You'll notice down the bottom that the size goes in. I'm going to start my first piece to be 40 millimeters wide, and once I've typed it in, if I press enter, the shape comes up. Now to zoom in, I can use either some of these zoom tools here, or on the Macintosh I can move so my tool is near the drawing, and I use a 2-finger zoom. What I'm going to do for this piece of wood is I'm going to make it look like it's a light coloured piece of timber. So I'm going to pick a light colour. Then what I'm going to do is select this tool here. It's called a push-pull tool. So when I select on it, I can push and pull the object in different directions depending on the face that I pick. Now I know the piece of timber that I'm going to use is 19 millimeters thick, so I'm typing in 19, and there I have my first piece of timber. I need to now add some extra pieces next to it. So what I'm going to do here is start to draw out another rectangle. Again, I know this one's 450 millimeters long, but this one I'm only going to use a 20 millimeter thick piece of timber. Again, I'm going to select a piece of timber. This time I'm going to use a dark one of the darker pieces of timber. This one could be a maple. Again, I need to pull that up so that it's at 17 millimeters thick. Sorry, 19 millimeters thick. Now I'm going to draw out another piece. Again, I know it's 450 millimeters long. Again, this time I'm using another small piece, but I'm going to use another dark piece of timber. So I'm going to represent that with this. Click on it. Again, I'm pulling that up to 19 millimeters. Now to make it look good, I can duplicate these things so that I have the same patterns again and again. So for me, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do another piece that's 450 millimeters long and 40 millimeters wide for this one. Again, I'm going to go back to the light color that I used before. Click on it, use the push-pull tool up to the 19 millimeters, and then I can keep going with my design. Now my design is allowed to be 300 millimeters wide. If I want to find out how wide my design is at any point, I can use this tape measure tool, and it will give me some sizes. Or another good thing that you can do is if I click on the edge here and I drag it across, it'll give me a measuring line, and if I type in 300, it puts a line in and it'll show me where I need to stop. So I could do that. Another tool I could use is this dimensioning tool. So what I'm going to do is I could click on the edges, and at the moment I'm finding out that my design here is 120 millimeters. I'm going to finish off my design, so I will do a few more pieces in here. Now I have the design of my cutting board. I'm going to select a slightly different tool, this hand tool. I can click and drag and I can move this around. Another tool that can come in useful is this tool here, and this is called an orbit tool. So I can click on it and I can move so I can see different parts of my object. You may see that at the bottom it hasn't quite worked out, so it's filled in. So what I can do is just enter a line and I can go and draw those lines in. But that's not going to be important, because what you need in your design is you're going to need to show it as though you can see the top, so the top there, that you can see a side, another side, and then also the one so it's at three-dimensional. So a way that you can now do this is we can view camera angles. So if I go to camera, standard views, and I pick ISO, it'll give me what's called an isometric view. If I'm not quite happy with it, I can click on it and drag it out a little bit. I'm going to zoom in so that the picture's quite big. And then what I can do is I can export this as a 2D graphic. I'm going to call this a cutting board, and I'm going to call this one ISO. I'm going to make sure that it's a JPEG, and then I have to click on save. That gives me my first one. Now what I'm going to do is go to standard views, top. It shows me what it looks like from the top view. Again, I can go to export 2D graphic. I'm going to call this cutting top. Again, go to my camera views, go to front. It gives me what it looks like from the front. Export 2D graphic, cutting board, front. And the last one I want is standard view. I'm going to do right. You could do right or left, it doesn't matter. Export 2D graphic, cutting side. Now what you are going to need to do is put it into your folio. So I'm going to put it in the folio here. What I'm going to do now is insert it into a document. So I'm going to create a table, and I'm going to create a table that has 2 rows and 2 columns. And now I need to insert the different parts. So I'm going to insert the first piece from the file. I'll start with that one. So that's my top view. Now I want to make this smaller so that it fits nicely into the boxes. And I'll insert the rest of them. The isometric on this side here. Now I want these boxes to be about the same size. Sorry, these images. So if I just resize them so they're all about the same. And there I have a top view of my board, a front view, and a side view, and also an isometric. If you have any problems, ask your teacher.